Hello everyone, if you don't know me, my name is Daniel and I'm making this video to talk about astrology. It is my first video, so I have a very humble objective, actually two. Uh, I'm gonna talk a little bit about my background and how I got in touch with astrology in the beginning and how it changed my opinion about it. And the second objective is describing very briefly what astrology is, what it does, how it works. So I have always been very skeptical, very skeptical. What is like the what is the measure of skepticism, right? Well, I always saw myself, and people told me that I always questioned and doubted mystical things, and I was like the most skeptic person in the family, among friends. So astrology for me was like bollocks for a long time, but it changed, or it started changing 4 years ago. I should say I still see myself as a skeptical person, which may sound a bit crazy, but that's how it is. Skepticism has something, right? When you're skeptic about it, just like a general attitude of skepticism, you try to dismantle something to see how it works, to see if it works. And when you come to astrology with a skeptical mind, you try to dismantle it, but if you cannot, then what you have is the impression that you found a structure, that you found a core that's valid, that's true, and that's how I feel. So, being a skeptical person my whole life, identifying myself with the scientific worldview, I got in touch with astrology 4 years ago through a friend who had just become a professional astrologer, and he invited me. He teased me a little bit, and I jumped into it. I had a first consultation, and that first consultation shocked me a bit. It was impressive. I had the feeling, well, it was just a first impression, but I had the feeling that he knew things about me that I didn't know how he could know that kind of thing. And so I was impressed, but it was just the beginning. So I started researching and reading about the subject. I found out really quickly. I found out it's a huge amount of knowledge. It's very old. It's been around for thousands of years. So I started researching and studying astrology. I started a course, taking classes, and it's been 4 years. I have been studying, reading, writing, thinking, observing astrology every day, pretty much. So it's become a passion. So that's a little bit of like how big a change it was for me. And the second thing I want to talk about is a brief description of what astrology is and how it works. So when I say astrology is about the solar system, I kind of mean, I'm not 100% sure, but as I have been studying and thinking about it, it's about the solar system, or at least mostly about the solar system. It's not about the stars and what stars do to us. I'm not really sure if I prefer the point of view or the astrology that's more deterministic, or that describes the influence of the planets and stars on our lives as a relation of cause and effect, of like an action that's coming from the stars or from the planets, from the sky, or if it's more a matter of synchronicity. Having thought about it, I really don't know if it matters that much. The thing is, there is you can quite easily see a correspondence between what happens in the sky and on Earth. And I mean what happens in history, the history of mankind, the history of countries, and also the personalities and the biographies, the individual lives. So that's it. Astrology is the study of this correlation between the movement of the planets of the solar system. So I want to make, well, poetically, you can still call it the stars, because there is a whole nomenclature, if that's the word. There is a whole discussion about like the use of the words, because, for example, the sun and the moon are also planets, because a planet, some like maybe 2,000 years ago, when the word wasn't in common usage among people in astrology, a planet was a celestial body that was not fixed. So the stars outside of the solar system were the fixed stars, and the planets included the sun and the moon, which would change position, or which would have more specific, what's the word? Well, everything like sun, moon, and the planets in the solar system would be called planets, and the stars would be the stars outside of the solar system. So that's it. Astrology for me is the study of the correlation between the planets in the solar system and our lives here on Earth. Well, that's my first video. I wanted to introduce myself and talk about astrology for the first time. If you have any questions, if you ever have a curiosity about the subject, if you believe it or not, it's okay. You can send me, you can contact me, you can send me an email or a message here on Facebook. Okay? I'll see you soon.